It's 2024, everyone.
Yes.
And we are back. We're back.
Yes.
They did not shut us down.
No, that's a good thing.
I know. I thought I was going to come in. The door was going to be nailed shut. But here we are, back for another edition. My name is Lucinda McNamara, Dean of University Transfer and Partnerships.
I'm Kathie Lee, Content Specialist in the Community Relations Department.
That sounds pretty heavy.
That does sound heavy, doesn't it?
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing over there?
I am specializing in content.
Well, it is going to be February when we finally drop, I'm going to say it, this podcast. And we have kind of had a soft open through the month of January, but things are going to be in full swing by the time this podcast hits the airwaves. And we are so excited to have everybody back for 2024.
Yes, very excited. Should be a good year. I'm trying to come up with my mantra for the year. So last year was hospital free in 23. And I was thinking of maybe no more for 24, but it's not working out. So trying to find a good positive motto. And maybe by no more for 24, I've decided I'm not setting any resolutions this year.
I hear you.
Because then I can't be disappointed.
Do you want to say today's faculty spotlight?
Certainly. So today's faculty spotlight guest is Ben Billingsley, or Mr. B. Ben teaches art in the art department here at CFCC, and he has worked for the college for 23 years.
That is impressive.
Very impressive, yes.
All right, on to Ben. Benjamin Billingsley, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast. May I call you Benjamin, or would you prefer Ben? What do you prefer?
Everyone on campus calls me Mr. B, but I go by Ben, so please use that.
Mr. B, I love that.
It's cute,
Yes, I
right?
like that. It's better than B squared or...
Yeah, they used to call me Miss Mac.
I got Mr. One year at the end of semester.
Oh, no.
So I said, all you have to do is remember one letter. It's a decent grade. That's it. B is fine.
So did you fail him immediately?
No, of course
Just
not.
kidding. Of course not. We don't do that here. So, Mr. B, where are you from originally, and what brought you to the Cape Fear region?
I am born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
So I can do the accent. Should I do the accent?
Please.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good.
You have
eh?
to do it for the rest of the interview.
Oh, I don't think you want that. No, that's not good. Oh, that's not good.
How long were you in
I
Wisconsin?
lived in Wisconsin until I was in high school. My dad got a job at UNC Greensboro, his first professional teaching job. So we moved south and I ended up going to undergrad and grad school at UNCG.
Wow.
I love that school.
And so what you're saying is working in the field of education is in the family. It's
It
all
is
in the family.
All in the family. My grandfather on my mother's side was not only a painter and a ceramicist, he also was a university professor. He started the printmaking program at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Wow.
Both of my parents have been university professors in art. My dad was full-time at ECU for 20-something years before he retired. So yeah, it's the family trade.
Wow. So you would have been an outcast had you chosen a different
Well,
profession.
weirdly, like
Right.
in the arts, I think a lot of times people think that we're like rebels, because nobody thinks that their kid can make any money being an artist.
Yeah.
In my family, it was the other way around. Like they asked me, what do you want to major in? And I said history. And they were like, you mean art history? And I said, no, what about European military history? And they said, no, it has to be art. What are you thinking? So like,
You want to be a starving historian?
right? It was sort of the reverse of my students' experience. They get to be the rebels in their family. I got to conform to toe the family line.
Right. So were you in high school when you moved here?
Yes.
That's
Oh,
hard.
that is hard, yes.
It was not easy. It was definitely not easy. But it was kind of exciting in a way because it gave me a chance to reinvent myself. So I had always wanted to do theater at that time, and I had been a tech person behind the scenes. So when I moved south, I was like, nobody knows me. If I mess this up, who cares? They don't care. They
Right.
don't know me. So I started auditioning and getting roles. So I did theater for a while.
This is fascinating, Ben. I've known you forever. I didn't know any of this. This is so great. This is why we do this podcast, everyone. We're learning so much about each other.
That's right, yes.
True.
It's so meaningful.
So for us, define art and what drew you to study it.
Ba-dum-bum.
That's a huge question. For me, the core of it really boils down to being a form of communication. And it is a unique form. It's not verbal. It's purely visual. But the thing I love about it is that it communicates across all divides. You don't have to be the same gender or age or color or nationality of the person who's made the thing for you to see it and to try to bring your own interpretation from it, from looking at it. So I think that it's kind of like a weird time travel machine, but it is a way to understand where your culture came from, how you fit into it, and how you can contribute something more to it.
I think about Mona Lisa and all the interpretations of her smile.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like everybody comes up with a new
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
definition.
I think that there's what the artist intends, and then there's what you get from it. And that's informed by your own personal experience. You know, if you were bitten by a dog as a child, you're not going to love a painting of a dog the same way that someone who's raised dogs their whole life will feel. Even a simple example like that shows you how open-ended it is. But I think it's also exciting because it's not the same as performing. It's not standing up on a stage and you're not the vehicle for the thing. So a lot of artists like to put their work out, and it may have a very bold statement, but then they can hide behind it.
So what is your favorite medium when you're making your own art?
It's changed a lot. When I was a student, I was initially very serious about being a painter, and I thought that was the epitome of what art could be, which put me in conflict with my dad because he's a sculptor, and for him, the epitome is sculpture. So he really tried to encourage any 3D leanings. But I found that by the time I got to grad school, the more I was in the painting studio, the more I found myself being a little bit intimidated or frustrated because it was so academic and so serious. And the classes where I was having fun were the printmaking classes. So by the time I got to grad school, I majored in painting, or I sometimes say I married painting, but I was really having an affair with print on the side.
Oh, scandalous.
Right, scandalous. So for me, woodcut, linoleum relief printing is probably my favorite, followed by lithography, which is printing from stone.
Is it your students that have these silkscreen prints on
No, that's
the
Miss
hallway?
Quinn in our
Okay.
painting program.
Okay.
Mine is usually I try to restrict the board right beside the print studio, which is room 1029. And what's up there right now are basically the greatest hits from students last semester. So we've got dry points, engravings, woodcuts, linocuts, silk screens, all kinds of things that they did well with last year. So
It's a fun hallway to walk down.
it is.
And take a look at all the talent
Right now,
that's here
there's
at the
one
school.
drawing by a student of mine that's really scary that has an intentionally distorted, enlarged eye that has been scaring Miss Perry because her office door is right across from it. So,
Oh, poor Abby. So what have you noticed about the differences in the students since you began teaching a mere 20 plus years ago?
I feel that our students are a little more aware of and more accepting of each other's differences than they were when I started 20 years ago. I think that they are a little more respectful, especially in recent years, about gender identity and expression, and they tend to be unconcerned with judging each other about those kind of things, which I think is beautiful. I think that they all are really here to get their education and they could care less about other non-related issues.
Right. We have finally gotten to the place where we're going to do the rapid fire questionnaire. Are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
You should be, man. You're in the hot seat.
Ouch.
All right. What is your most favorite thing about your job?
Hands down in the studio teaching with the kids.
Man, quick answer.
Yes.
To the point.
Yes. What is your least favorite thing about your job?
Every single paperwork nonsense I have to do, those attendance reports, anything like that.
This really sounds familiar.
I was going to say, that's a pretty consistent theme.
It really is. Note to self. What sound or noise do you love?
Freshly popped popcorn. I love that.
Like in
The
the
sound of it-
microwave or in a
Either or.
on a
Either
stove?
or. I mean, on a stove, of course, is
Yeah.
classic. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jiffy Pop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Slide it on the
Mhm.
stove.
Well, Drew Barrymore
Yeah.
action, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Totally.
That's fun.
That's an interesting one too.
Yes.
I've heard that one before.
It's totally true.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's complete truth.
And everybody who's listening can hear that sound.
Yeah, it's very,
Absolutely.
very, I guess, ASMR, right?
Oh yeah.
It
For
is that.
sure.
So what sound or noise do you hate?
Okay, this is technically not really a sound I don't suppose that other people can hear, but I have a weird phobia about cardio things. I hate the sound of my own heartbeat or pulse.
My daughter hates that too.
It freaks me out.
Do you like think
Hmm.
about it too much?
Oh,
Like
for sure.
that's
Yeah.
my heart. It could
Mhm.
stop.
And if you want to psychoanalyze it, my grandfather died of a heart attack shoveling snow.
Oh
so
no. Wait.
that's
Okay.
probably why.
Ben,
But it's weird. Like I get freaked out if I get my blood pressure taken.
and you can't hear it, but you can
You
feel
can
it.
feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is more a feeling than a sound.
All right. We need to put you in some intense
Mm.
cardio therapy.
I know, right?
So you can get like used to it.
Wow.
All right. What is one piece of advice that you have for college students?
Read your syllabus. I mean, that would be a good one.
Sorry, that's a really good one. And so True. Say it again, Ben.
Read your syllabus.
Yes. There is just a wealth of information in there.
All kinds of stuff can be found there.
Right.
When's it due? We have an assignment.
Right.
There's a
Yes.
test in this class. Those kind of answers can be found.
The time that it takes for them to craft an email, to send it to you, to
Right.
ask that question.
Right.
Yes, they could have easily read the syllabus.
Right.
But I mean, that's maybe a mean teacher answer, like a real world answer that also relates, I think, is to ask questions. You know, I think a lot of times
But
people
not
are
questions
afraid.
that could be answered by the syllabus.
Right.
Yeah,
But I
hear
think
what you're
sometimes
saying.
they're afraid to ask you, something that might really be useful, especially if you're a first generation in school. Ask.
Yeah, I do feel like that they forget they have a voice
Mhm,
and
mhm.
they should not be afraid to use it in the
Not at all.
classroom.
Not at all.
Especially, and it's very cliche to say this, but a lot of times you've always heard, ask the question because someone else is probably thinking it too and afraid to ask.
Precisely.
Yes. And there's always one student who is relieved when another
Mhm.
finally asks that question.
Totally.
Yeah. So what are 2 college transfer major options for someone studying art?
Okay, if you're at Cape Fear, obviously we have an AFA, Associate of Fine Arts in Visual Art, but we also have degree tracks now in the graphic design area. So if you want to think about more of a design, real-world job-oriented way of using your art skill, you could go into graphic design, layout design, theoretically even game design. But in terms of going from here, transferring somewhere else, every single one of the art disciplines could be your concentration in your Bachelor of Fine Arts, BFA program. So if you really fell in love with sculpture, for instance, you could take a concentration in sculpture, and that would be your main focus.
That works. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, theater in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Every now and then I've dipped back into it. I've done a handful of performance art pieces that are physical presentations. I was cast in a student-directed play a few years ago, and that was a total highlight of my teaching experience. To flip it, be the student again,
Absolutely.
That's fun.
was
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Plus I got to swear, so that was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And for those faculty and staff that got to see our incredible Christmas video, you did have a little acting in there.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, playing the role of a teacher.
I know it was
Not
a
a
stretch.
stretch.
Oh,
It was a
wow.
little bit of a stretch.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you had to do a lot of prep for that role.
Yeah, a lot of research went into that.
Yes. So what profession would you not like to attempt?
Oh, man. I'm often really grateful for the people who can do the medical things that I'm very squeamish about. I love me some horror movies. I can watch really gory horror movies, but the surgery channel, I cannot handle it. So the phlebotomist, the person who's doing the blood pressure check while you're freaking out, I have total respect for, absolute necessity, never want to do your job in a million years.
So it's not the blood necessarily. It's something else related to
It
that?
is. I think it's the reality of it.
Okay.
I think that horror movies are a chance for you to experience and deal with your fears in a safe way.
Right.
But a surgery, you could actually die. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
It's too
almost,
real.
Yeah, I got you.
The heartbeat.
Right? Again, see? Edgar Allan Poe had an impact on me when I was a kid.
I think so. What is your favorite film?
This, I knew you were going to ask, and I've been dreading it because it changes minute to minute.
It's an unfair question.
It totally is. I think the one I've rewatched the most is probably the original Star Wars A New Hope.
Okay.
Which I do think is groundbreaking and important in a lot of different ways. My favorite older film is Casablanca. I cry every time.
Too.
I cannot help myself. I love
Bogart.
that film. But currently, I always try to watch as many as I can of the Oscar-nominated or likely Oscar-nominated things. So I've been working my way through the roster, and I am obsessed with Saltburn right now.
Oh, Saltburn.
It's so dangerous and transgressive and
Yes.
scary and gross and weird.
It's
awesome.
It's a line crosser, and the set design and the color
It's
palette.
so artfully made.
Yes,
The
it really
cinematography,
is.
the production design in every respect, and the score is a character in the film.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect, I think.
I love it when you find films and even television series that have that where the score is a character. I felt that way about White Lotus.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, Saltburn's the same.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that at lunch last Friday. Saltburn.
Were you?
But I'm glad to hear of some other aspects of that than one particular scene. I might actually venture to see that then.
I think if you accept it on its own terms, and I think it ultimately is a dark comedy that's based in reality. So if you accept that there will be over-the-top elements, it's a really good look at someone who is an obsessive and controlling character, almost if a vampire was a real thing, that's what this character would be.
Right. That's a good analogy. I like it.
Yes. And our final question, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self about your future?
Put more attention into presentation. I was not prepared when I did my first interviews to get into schools for scholarships and things.
Okay.
I didn't really know how to present. Even though I had some help from the family and lots of artists, I was focused on the art, and I just grabbed everything I had and I put everything out on the table. And in those days, I'm dating myself, but the professors could smoke in the studios. So the guy came in wearing like a studio smock and smoking a cigar. And he walked around and smoked, flipped through my stuff like he wasn't impressed. And he kind of stubbed out his cigar and he said, well, you can't draw for bleep. And I was like, I'm here at your invitation. Like, I really fully thought I was going to be handed a full ride scholarship. And that was his first response. So I think that's one of the reasons I care about our portfolio class.
Yes.
Art 215, visual art portfolio.
Yeah. That's hard when you're that young.
Well, I mean, especially I think because I felt like that was the only thing I was any good at. And, you know, my dreams were on the line, yada, yada. But I really did just grab the top of the stack of what I was working on at that moment. So there were good things and mediocre things.
Right.
And I didn't arrange it in a way that told a story or that highlighted a particular strength. I just kind of overshared, I guess. You know what I mean? I just brought a bunch of everything that I thought was current. And there were some duds, admittedly. And he called me on it. And that was our dynamic. I got the scholarship.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, but he was that generation of educator, very different from what we have in our department, who I think was geared or encouraged to teach from kind of a boot camp mentality. And the goal was sort of break you down and see if you could put yourself back together again, was kind of his teaching philosophy. So he very often would provoke people and push them to just like the absolute edge and then laugh.
Like whiplash.
Gaslighting almost. But he was very much like, if you know the 60s Batman Penguin, Burgess Meredith.
Yeah.
That was his laugh.
Ew.
So if he like said something critical of you, he would end with
That's evil.
It sounded just like the Penguin. It was terrifying. So you can't draw for bleep.
Oh, well, Ben, thank you so much for coming into
so
our
welcome.
studio.
That was really fun.
Yes. Yeah, I think that it's just such a pleasure to get to know all the faculty a little bit better. And if we can get more of our listeners with students, it's such a benefit for them to hear who we have on staff and take classes. And
we're people too.
Yes. Exactly. It's nice to be able to put a voice with a name.
Right. Or personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't get the full
Mr. B.
Mr. B. If you're in an online class, you get a bit, but not as much as face-to-face.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
For 2024, there are some important dates and deadlines always lingering out there for university transfer. So we have resident drama instructor Jack Landry on board to fill you in.
Here is the list of important college dates for February 1st through February 15th. Thursday, February 1st, the 4-week classes end. That's the classes that run from January 5th to February 1st. Friday, February 2nd, final registration day for the 12-week session is at 3 p.m. Sunday, February 4th, the 12-week session, it's the last day for 100% refund. That's really important. Monday, February 5th, add and drop for the 12-week session. Classes will begin for the 12-week session also on Monday, February 5th. Tuesday, February 6th is the last day to add drop for the February 12-week session. Friday, February 9th, priority date to file intent to graduate for spring. Monday, February 12th is the last day to drop for a 75% refund for most classes. It's the 12-week session. Those are the really important dates for February 1st through February 15th.
Once again, to fill us in on our upcoming academic and cultural events, we have CFCC Student Life Coordinator, our head women's basketball coach, and host of her own podcast for your ears only, the one, the only, Taylor Todd Williams.
Hi, Happy New Year. Happy to be back. Tuesday, February 6th, we have the Fry Size Showcase, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the North Campus NA Auditorium, a rotating exhibit of student work highlighting science and fiction and writing. SGA General Assembly meeting, 4:15 p.m. in L107. Wednesday, February 7th, we'll have a UNCW transfer team visit, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Union Station on the second floor lobby. Tuesday, February 13th, we have the Humanities International Film Festival, The Last Out, a Spanish film, at 12:30 p.m. in U170. Wednesday, February 14th, Humanities International Film Festival, El Innocent, a French film, at 12 p.m. in U170. Kisses for Self-Loving Mrs. and Misters, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Union Station and McKeithen Center lobbies. See your CFCC counselors for a sweet self-love treat on Valentine's Day. Thursday, February 15th, Humanities International Film Festival, A Fire, a German film, at 12:30 p.m. in U170.
Taylor, sounds like we have some great things going on. This is kind of like a soft open into the spring semester.
Yeah, it is, but we have some fun things coming up in this new year. We're starting off in the month of love, Black History Month. We have a big basketball event February 21st, so that should be really fun for the students.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so that wraps up today's episode. And now I'm thinking about Valentine's.
I know. It's right around the corner.
It is, all that chocolate. Just sounds wonderful.
Which I'm not really into the whole Valentine's Day thing, but I will shamelessly plug the Humanities International Film Festival. So every year we have a film festival of some sort through our humanities department. It's either one that's affiliated with the French Embassy, or it is one that we put on internally, and that's what it happens to be this year. So on the 13th, 14th, and 15th, please come see some films that have international languages. We have Spanish, German, and French here at Cape Fear Community College, and so we love to show films that highlight the languages we teach.
Yeah, the French movie on the 14th would be the perfect Valentine's Day date.
Yes, it will. So come out. It's free in U170. So we did it. We're back.
Yay!
And we really look forward to having everybody show up again on February 15th. So in the great words of advice that we give to our students,
go to class.
CFCC's Community Relations Department. Original theme music by Nicholas Montalbano and Fermin Chavez Ramos. Audio engineering by Mitchell White and Tim Vandenberg. For questions or comments, please contact us at cdevilsessions@cfcc.edu.